All right. And I have Enrique Carrillo here on the podcast, episode number 50. And I'm excited, man, to have you on here. It's a pleasure, man. We've known each other for a long time. We have a good mutual friend in John Hood. Shout out to John.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are killing it in your business, but it's an honor to have you here today, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Episode 50, that's like
Yeah.
a go right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So guys, to give you just kind of an overview of Enrique, and then we'll dive into his story. But he is massively successful in the Herbalife organization. He has one of the biggest organizations in that company. He's been doing it since 2009.
2008.
2008. Okay, so it's been 2008. So a longevity, and he's been on that path for quite a while, and he's built a really successful organization and changed a lot of lives. So let's start there, Enrique. I mean, what you've done, man, is I don't want to say it's rare, but it is. I mean, you built something really, really powerful. Let's start back in 2008 when you got into Herbalife. Where were you, and then kind of what was the catalyst to kind of get you on this path?
Okay, yeah, for sure. I'd love to share my story with everybody. But thank you for getting me on here today because, just, possibly changing somebody's life, even if it's one person that watches this episode with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. But the thing is with me, I started when I was 22 years old. I was going to job I had three jobs, going to school full time. Really didn't know what I wanted to do in life, just like most, 20-year-olds. And it was just like, back in high school, I just, played football, basketball, baseball. My dad's a football coach. My mom's a teacher. So I was really on a great track, and they're like, they wanted me to be either professional football player, basketball, or baseball, something in sports, because that's what we grew up doing. Or let's go and make some money being a doctor or a lawyer, things like that. And
Right.
so it was not too smart to do any of those things. Then just being short like I am, like just being a professional athlete just wasn't out in the cards for me. So and I love sports, but when I went into college, you go into college and, my dad's go to school, get your education and go get to work. And, with that I did, but without a purpose, people perish. And it was me, I was jumping from
Mm.
degree to degree to degree, and I didn't know what the hell to do. And I was like, man, like, let me find something. But like, then I got, we all want to be a part of something, right? There's something
Yes.
we want to be a part of, and being an athlete, that was me. So when I got into a fraternity, I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And that it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of networking and stuff that I did, but just living the lifestyle that they live, it's just like that YOLO lifestyle, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and then you it was just down the rabbit hole. And of course, I make my own choices that I made, but I always blamed a lot of people back in the day of who I was and who I was becoming. It was all because of them, right? And
Wow.
it was wild, because when I found what I found, it was at one of the deepest like moments of my life. I was 22 years old. I had 3 DWIs, two minor possessions, had to get my stomach pumped twice from overdosing, drinking on drugs.
Wow.
And it was wild how, I feel like God winks at a certain time in your life. So I got put in jail after my last DWI. My mom pulls me aside and she's like, hey, where'd I go wrong with you? And I'm like, what, like, she's crying, I'm crying. They're paying for my damn lawyer bills and me get out of jail, things like that. And, I start looking at my life and I'm like, dang, like I'm screwing up. And, how many people like feel like they're a disappointment to their parents because they're not on the right track. And that was how
Yep.
I felt right there. So I went home and I was like, damn, something has to change. And I go into my friend's house to go study, a couple weeks later, and she was like, Enrique, you got to go try out this tea, which I'm drinking right now, right?
Yeah. Awesome. There you go.
Energy tea. And I'd never, done things like that in my life, which was like, energy stuff or just, whatever. I would do maybe hydroxycut, which was crazy, and just the stuff that was advertised everywhere. But
Yeah.
anyway, my friend invited me to a nutrition center, and I go in and I'm like, oh, this is cool. But I thought it was a bar but I was on probation. So I'm like, I can't be in here. It looks like a bar. I'm gonna get in trouble. And they're like, no, come on in. And it was really neat, very welcoming. Tried out the products for the first time, and I got onto them. And I wasn't looking to lose weight or nothing, but I love the atmosphere, I love the community. I couldn't be around in bars anymore, and like I'm just a people person, right? And I
Right.
being around bars just kind of, it was fun, but you're drinking, you're partying, and then you're hungover the next day, and then you're
Yeah.
back again, and just that lifestyle. So when I started like changing my lifestyle and started doing this, started losing weight, started feeling good, my mom was also looking for something, to lose some weight and feel good. So for me, I was like, mom, come try this stuff out. In a month, guys, me and my mom, she was able to lose 10 pounds, but she hadn't been able to lose weight for the long time. She felt great. And then I was able to lose some weight. It felt good. And then that's whenever I got into the business opportunity. Didn't even know like how to do business, guys, at all. Like I was going into something just to make an extra $300. Like,
Wow.
and $300 was, it would, at that time my rent, I was with a roommate, it was 250 bucks for rent back in the day. I just say my age. So back in the day, and that 250, that $300, like I've been rich. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, 300 bucks. Like, how can I do this? And that's where my journey began, with having a coach. And I feel like one of the biggest things in leadership and with where you want to go in life is get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody that's
Mm.
going to be able to make you see things that you haven't seen or you haven't done before, and getting out of your damn comfort zone. That's one of the biggest things. So my coach, so those of you guys listening, and maybe you're brand new to business or whatever, he said, what are your goals and what are your dreams?
Mm.
Asked me that in a long time, right? And when I was younger, I was like, I want to be Spider-Man, or I want to be,
Yeah.
you wanted to be something like, crazy when you're,
Right.
but then as you get older, it's like, okay, just there's certain things and challenges happen in your life, and then nobody really asks you anymore. Like, what are your goals and what are your dreams? What do you want to become? What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Things like that. And it's really cool to be able um to being asked that. And then I was like, well, I don't really know. Like I have my DWIs, I was in college, and like poor me, right? And he was like,
Right.
let me share this with you. And he started sharing his goals and his dreams and things that he was going to do. And I was like, what, really? Like, and it just gave me hope, right? And that's all the times is we need hope in our life,
Mm.
to see what else is possible out there. So that was like a turning moment for my life. And like my goals are small, guys. It was, I wanted to pay off my school loan debt, which a lot of people are in debt, right? i
Yeah.
wanted I had puppies at the time. I wanted a puppy playhouse for my puppies. And then I wanted to buy some clothes. And then just I wanted to just to not work my damn jobs anymore. I was working at putt golf. You guys know the putt golf.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. Yeah.
working there, hot as hell in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and like sweating my ass off. Had to wear jeans and a long sleeve shirt, and hated wearing a uniform. And then I was like the tracks person, like where they do like the racing.
Yes.
I would do
Yes.
that. And then I was also worked at a cable company where I had to wear the damn hard hat, hot as hell, right? Like long sleeve shirt, gloves, boots, everything in 110-degree weather, just loading reels and just crazy shit. Sorry for my language,
It's
but
all good.
and it's just those jobs that people need jobs, and that's like something that I did. And like I was like, man, I only, if I could get out of that, I would love to just be making shakes for people and make people happy. And
Absolutely.
that was it. Like that was like my thing. And so within, I made any moment that I had spare time, I was going and working into my business, right? I didn't know what
Mm.
the hell I was really doing, but I was there like, go out there, talk to people, go out there and network, go out there and go into businesses. And just starting off at a business, like, I'm in the health and nutrition industry, and they're like, well, why are you here? I was like, well, I came to give you energy. Like, I don't, nothing. Like, I was just going out there, and I just wasn't afraid, of changing my life or even changing other people's life, because my thing was like, man, I have so much energy here. I'm down some weight. My mom's down some weight. Why not give it to more people
Right.
and feel better? So that's like my journey of, doing this. And that was back in 2008 when I started. And then, I don't know if you want me to go more and elaborate,
Yeah,
but
no, well, let's unpack some of that because I wrote down some things that were powerful. Like you mentioned, without a purpose, people perish,
mm,
and then you mentioned that your coach gave you hope, and like those are sometimes just the simple catalyst that people need to kind of get them moving. If someone doesn't have hope, it's really hard to take that first step or to, go try something different because it's just like, well, what's the point? You know?
Mhm.
And then also obviously with your, your situations of the DWIs and then, some of the lifestyle choices that you're making. I don't want to say you hit rock bottom, but like,
Mhm.
you kind of you hit a low point, right?
Mhm.
And that seemed like it was a catalyst for you as well, and but you took action. So I think that was huge, man. I feel like, and I was talking to someone a couple of days ago, that it just seems like the people that really achieve a lot in life, they also were on the other side of the spectrum, you know, and and I feel like that's one thing that we can definitely kind of deliver the message today is like that message of hope, like you were saying, is if you're going through problems and you're in a place of like victimhood and victim mentality, that's just a setup to take you to your next level. But you gotta take some steps,
Right.
And so a lot of golden nuggets there, man. What, when you met your coach, I
Mhm.
mean, what was obviously he said, what are your goals and what are your dreams, and that kind of gave you inspiration. But as
Mhm.
far as like taking that first tangible step, what do you, I mean, he told you to go meet people, but was it just like, I'm an action taker, I'm just going to go do it? Because a lot of people struggle with taking action,
Mhm.
so what do you say to someone that, say they meet someone that inspires them, but they're stuck in analysis or they're stuck in overthinking? What is that first thing that you can kind of give someone to help them push them over the edge, I guess?
Yeah, so if I'm clear on this, like just starting off and they're maybe in some type of sales, right? Right.
Yeah.
Sales. And I think a lot of times it's there you want clarity inside of what you're doing, but like I feel like an accomplishment of something, even the little as going off and going into a store and introducing yourself and like just saying what you do, like building that confidence, which is a little accomplishment, right? Because most people, they feel like they have to do it perfect. They feel like they have to do it like completely right. They feel like they have to say the right thing. And then they sit there and they're paralyzed in thought and you're not doing shit. And and somebody else is out there doing the work and they're
Right.
taking clients and they're doing it. They might not be doing it right, but they're doing it. Right. I think
Right.
sometimes a lot of times people feel like they have to be so perfect with a perfect business card and the perfect with whatever they're wearing, the perfect. And yes, dressing nice and looking good is key to a lot of things, but I'm saying like a lot of times people don't take action right away, and even if they screw it up, like that's okay. Like everything is a learning opportunity. And a lot of people, when they first get started, they're afraid to get rejected. And you gotta get rejected. You got to learn from that rejection. You got to learn
Mm.
how to say things better, right? And when you're
Wow.
doing this business, like you got to learn from that. You got to know that like no means not right now. It's gonna happen later.
Absolutely.
You're just planting a seed. And then later on down the line, like I met you a while back and you're dressing better. You have a you have a better car,
Yep.
right? You're learning how to promote yourself a lot better because
Yep.
nobody is going to promote you but yourself, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
especially when you're in this industry of sales and like and like I talk about hope, right? So it's helping other people every day, right? So
Wow.
helping other people every day. And it's like when that Jim Rohn quote, it's like you got to bring value to the marketplace. Like there's so many problems out there, right? And that's something that you got to get cleared out there. There's problems, what's your solution, right?
Mm.
And whatever you're in, whatever sales that you're in, like what's your solution? Like I'm in the health and wellness industry, right? And people out there, they need energy, right? So I got you, right? People want to lose weight. I got you. People want to gain some muscle. I got you,
Right.
right? And that's it. And then also we're also in the business too. Like people need to make some money. I got you, right? But then you
Right.
got to have that where you have, and then you got to have a system and a structure behind that to be able to do so. And if you don't know it, you have a coach, right? If you don't know it, then you learn those certain things that you need to learn to be able to get out there and work it. Like I have some people on my team that they've been in for a while and they're stuck at their business, but it's not that you're stuck, you're just not excited, right?
Mm.
you're just not excited about things. And a lot of times people are like, well, I'm stuck here and I'm stuck this and no. Like you're not stuck. You're not excited about the method of operation that you're doing. You're not
Wow.
excited about your social media. You're not excited about going to network party things. You're not excited about those things. Like, what is going to get you excited to do certain things? Like what got me excited, I love fitness. Everybody else is doing like nutrition clubs, which I did, but everybody's knocking on doors and doing these things. And I was like, well, let me just try to fit camp. And nobody was really doing fit camps until I put that
Right.
in there. And I was like, man, let me do a fit camp. Let me do something fun that I love. And then boom, it blew up where, one person, then 5 people, then 10 people showed up. And then before you know it, it was something that I love to do, that I love to invite people to, that I love to bring value to the marketplace because people had to get healthy in that way as well. And then boom, we started getting 80, 100, 200 people inside of our fit camps just because
Wow.
of what I did. Right. So,
That's powerful, man. I feel like in like just kind of listening to you uh just so far, like in the beginning as well, even your start. So I feel like, and I could be wrong, but my perception is like when you started, and even what you're talking about now with the fit camps,
mm,
it seems like you're coming from a place of like, I'm just gonna do it because I want to do it. And I'm not, obviously you expect results, but a lot of people do things for only a result, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna get into Herbalife, I'm gonna start this, and I'm gonna do it because I want to make money or this. But that's not always the thing that's gonna drive you every day. It seems like to me you're more connected to the process, um, versus like trying to make something happen. You know what I mean? And you mentioned the excitement part of it. That was just huge for me because it's like, man, if you can follow your excitement and just trust the process,
mm.
basically embody what you're doing, then the success will come. Do you feel like that's a challenge for people? Like they're too in their head, they're trying to like you said, they're not excited, but they want a result, but they're not excited about the journey, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, well, they try to mimic too many other people, right? Instead of
Mm,
being themselves. And a lot of times, like
wow.
there's other things that you have to follow, but you try to be somebody else that it takes you away from what you're doing, right?
Wow. Yep.
Nobody's got eyes like you, nobody has the same fingers like you, the same voice like you, your mannerisms that you use, nobody has that. But you try
Right.
to make yourself into somebody else that you're not, right? And yes, you got to learn, you got to grow, you got to develop, you got to do that, but it's fine where you are right now. You just got to go and do it. So I just feel like people try to compare themselves too much. And one of the biggest things when I learned early on in life, like from my mom, she always told me, she's like, do things for others without expecting anything in return.
Mm,
And when you do things out of the kindness of your heart and you don't expect anything in return because you're just doing it from the kindness of your heart, like especially into sales, like you're gonna go out and you're gonna go show houses, right? You're like,
yep.
you're gonna buy this one, like
Yeah.
and you get so mad at them because they don't, and you drove out far or whatever, like what I mean. That was me, like when I would do stuff for people and I'll do this, like you get stuck sometimes, like, damn, I didn't even make any money from this, and I'm doing all this stuff for them, and poor me, blah blah blah. Like that's just a poor mentality. And then like where energy goes, energy flows. Your energy
Mm,
flow, your like poor me mentality, and then people are gonna feel that. So
right.
because if you always get into the groove of like, I'm doing this from the kindness of my heart, and I'm doing this because I'm adding value to people, whether I make any money or not right now, I know eventually that it's going to come, right? But just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And then boom, before you know it'll hit, you're like, damn, like, it's great to not expect.
That's awesome, man. That's powerful. And I feel like that can be applied to anything, business, life, family, it's just, trusting the process and not always trying to manipulate an outcome. I feel like in business, it's hard sometimes, especially in the sales. It's like, I got to talk to this many people so I can get this many people. But like you said, like I just did a fit camp because that's what the marketplace you felt like needed and you were excited about it. And then that probably generated more results than like the traditional way of going about it. But it was also because you were more, you were connected with the process and not trying to just create an outcome, but actually experiencing the journey, which I think is powerful. Um, Being a leader of a really, really big organization, a lot of people, a lot of personalities. a lot of challenges, right? What are those biggest challenges that you face as a leader, and what are some ways that you've learned to kind of overcome them throughout your years?
Yeah, so just early, like overcoming challenges as a leader, and then dealing with people. I think you're gonna have challenges all the time. You know what I mean? Even challenges when you wake up in the morning. Like, what the
Yeah,
hell's gonna go up in the morning? Do you know what I mean? Like, as an entrepreneur, you. Nobody can get your ass up out of bed. Nobody can
yeah.
say something. Nobody's gonna tell you when to do things. You know what I mean? And that's one of the biggest things. You got to have that self discipline. Self
Mm,
discipline is the key and the bridge from average to great. And if you can have that self discipline every single day, that we talked about process, that this process is going to work. Somebody else before me did it, right? And I can do it too. And that's the whole thing, is like following that process of waking up early in the morning, going to bed at night, being the first one to show up. Like, showing up is half the battle, right? We
yes,
talk about that over and over and over again with your workouts, with your body, with everything that it is. It's like that's the half the battle, right? And showing up to work, and then having that mentality, like having your mind right too. And like one of the biggest things what I've always learned, and when I'm not growing my mind. I'm not in rooms with people that are like, like they always say, you're the some of the top 5 people you hang out with. Like, I'm not in the right room sometimes. So I'm
wow.
into that room of like, damn, like these people are not going anywhere, and I'm going with them. Right.
Mm,
You got to get into a room, you got to get into conversations where people are going places and doing things, because if not, then I noticed that also leads you away from destruction. So you get like, you get into that mode of like, man, you gotta find something to get you back going again. So I've had times where I've been great, I've been freaking awesome, I've been flying, and then you get around a group of people, and then it's just like, it's not them, it's you, but you just want to be a part of something. And it's like, damn, like they're not really going anywhere. Let me switch, and it's okay. And you got to learn it's okay to be alone for sometimes. It's okay
right.
to be by yourself. It's okay to do that. And while you're doing that, making sure that you're reading the books, making sure that you're working on yourself, right? Working on your health, right? I think nutrition is one of the biggest things, guys, because if you do not have your health, you do not have much at all.
So true.
It's all about, a lot of times when people look at you, it's all about looks too. Like, not all about it, but it's about looks. When they
Yeah.
feel like, dang, they look healthy, they look good, I want to work with that person. And
Yes.
you could be a little bit overweight and still working on yourself, but your personality is going to shine right there as well. So with that, and then also that's working with yourself, right? Challenges with yourself as a leader, like, am I good enough? And like, I'm fearful of this. And when I first started, I was afraid not to succeed. I was afraid not to make it. And then when I started making it, I was afraid to make money. Like, crazy.
Wow.
I was afraid to make money because how we grew up. I grew up, my parents are school teachers. We never really had much. And I looked at, what my parents were making because they're school teachers. And I'm like, when I started getting to where they got to, and I was like, I don't know. It makes me so emotional still to say that, because I never wanted to do better than my parents, because they're the
Mm,
ones that did it for me. They were the ones that did a lot for me. And then one day I was like with my mom, I said, hey, like, this is what I'm making now, whatever. She's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, but I'm afraid to go more, because I don't want to be better than you. Like, I'm not better than you guys. And she's like, no, we want you to do better than us. Like, go out there and
wow.
make some money. And then, the next couple of months, I doubled my income. And then I was able to be like, hey, mom, like, check this out. And then she said, I'm sorry we couldn't provide this type of lifestyle for you. And at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm emotional. But I said, if I can do this for myself, and I can get myself out of debt, and I can do these things, like, what? I promise you, mom, one of these days I'm going to retire you. 6 months later, walked into her office and retired her.
Woo.
Right.
Man, that's
But I
powerful.
but I share that with you guys because those are the challenges and things that we're going to go through, right? And that was my self things, like to be successful, not to outshine my parents, like blah blah blah, right? So we talk about those challenges for me, and then so that was
Wow.
like 3 years into my business. Now let's talk about damn people.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
People is the biggest thing that's gonna, like, you need people to grow your team. You need people around you that are gonna make you better mentally, physically, spiritually, right? I
Hmm.
think spiritually is number one, always keeping God first, and and then physically too. Like, are you around people that are eating your healthy and are talking, like, a lot of times what goes here comes out here, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
as I share that with you guys, like, what's coming into here going out,
Wow.
because it's like those people that you're around, are they positively feeding you things that are gonna help you grow? There's a book. So there was a So my first book I read that completely changed everything for me was Outwitting the Devil. So if you guys have
Cool.
tried Outwitting the Devil, awesome book. Like that book will take you from being the 98% of the world that everybody like when you were younger, everybody has thought for you your whole entire life. So when you were a baby, your parents thought for you, right? They're like, do this, da, 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 whatever, telling you what to do. You get into grade school, right? Same thing. Your teachers, right? You get into high school, you go get a job, right? College, get a job.
Yeah.
Everybody's always telling you what to do. This
Yeah.
book it like teaches you and inspires you to think for yourself. That's
Mm.
why only the top 2% of the world think for themselves. And that's why everybody else is drifters. They drift
Wow.
because the social media and they drift because of this and they drift because of blah, right? Top 2% are thinkers. They're the doers. They're the ones that take action. So that book had completely changed my point of view of the world, right? And where I want it to be. It's a crazy book. It's Napoleon Hill. He has a conversation with the devil. If you can get it audio, do it audio because the voice changes like to the devil,
Yeah.
deep voice, wild. So check that out first off. Second thing that helped me out, right? So that was changing my thought process of thinking for myself. There's a book called The Platinum Rule. The Platinum Rule talks about the how to recognize people, right, of what they are. And with me, when I first started off, I was like, anything to party and have fun. I was like, man, I'm gonna and in the nutrition clubs that I have, like the music and the jamming, and you go to
Yep.
events and you're like, fun. And then like as I grew more into the business, it got a little bit more serious. I became it's called a Ruby. And the Ruby is one that's like it's competition. And it's not competition, it's good to have competition with other people, healthy competition. Because my coach that coached me, he was like, did you know that somebody did, 5,000 in sales and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? And then this 10,000. I was like, what's the biggest you've done? He's like, oh, I did 28,000 in sales a month. And I'm like, what? Like it's inspiring, but it just like it got like the inside of you, right? And then like when I started doing those numbers, it's like, and then he's like, you just passed me. He's like, because I did 30,000 say in sales in
Wow.
one. And he was like, what? And I was like, what's the best one you've ever heard? He's like, this guy once did $104,000 in sales in 1 month. And I'm like, 104,000. That's like, what? That was unheard
That's
of.
crazy. Yeah.
Like back in the day, nobody was doing it. And then boom, I hit a 75,000 volume point month. And he was like, damn, right? It's thinking outside of the box and it's thinking bigger than what you are. And it's
Mm.
creating everything in life is creation. But that was the ruby inside of me. And then there's called an emerald. Like you got to know your numbers, right? You got to know your numbers and facts and figures. And there's people like that. Then there's the pearls. The pearls are the people that are like, Hakuna Matata, you know, we are the world, are we are the people, and it's those people to deal with like, and it's like you got to learn how to you'd be able to deal with all of them and to
Wow.
motivate them, inspire them, encourage them, know what's gonna bring them, pick them up, know the things not to say to them to bring them down. And the hardest thing is to learn, like the emeralds and the pearls were the hardest people for me to work with, but that's John Hood, the one that you just mentioned right there.
Yeah.
He was one of my first emeralds that I got into the business because he was about numbers and facts and figures. And I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
I knew because I was an athlete, like a big time athlete like that. But you're going to crush people if you
Right.
talk to them in those certain ways. So I learned the communication is key to building friendships and then key to
Mm.
building your business. Right. So when you can learn about people and how to communicate with them and how to, share with them and motivate them and do that. Oh my gosh, that's when I took leaps and bounds. I was able to put people in the right positions of leadership. I was able to inspire them to do certain things in like our events and our trainings and our meetings. I was also able to inspire them to, figure out what things for them to do to be able to grow their business. Like I like fit camps, right? Because it was like
Right.
fun, competitive, whatever. One of the girls, she's like, I want to go to church and I want to go knitting and blah blah. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
great. Like, and I've never heard anybody like, but I encouraged her and I inspired her to do that. I said, but let's have an intention while you're doing that to get people healthier and happier. Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness, that's going to be good because that's a pearl, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
people that change the world and whatever. So you got to encourage people where they're at and learn those languaging, and also like listen. Don't just freaking talk all the time. When you have greatness in front of you,
Mm.
you keep your mouth shut. Ask good questions, and then boom, like that's just
That's
that's
huge. That's
yeah.
huge, man. And like so, like the two biggest things that where there's two huge aspects, both connected to the books.
Mm,
Outwitting the devil, helping people um not be to become thinkers. Like you said, the 2%. So 98% of people, they're running on programs and autopilot.
mm,
And they might be 40 years old and they're doing what their mom told them when they were 8,
right.
which is really crazy when you think about it. But I think it's 100% true. So it's like become that 2%, become an independent thinker,
Mm-hmm.
which I think puts you in a position of leadership. And
Mm-hmm.
then you mentioned something really huge when you are in leadership and you're working with people, it's being able to communicate to them how they need to be communicated to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think oftentimes as people, and I've been 100% guilty of this, you just assume that everybody thinks like you, they talk like you, they receive messages like you, and then you realize you're like, oh shit, they didn't that person didn't get anything I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't communicate it to them in their language and also to like their values. So um, that book, The Platinum Rule, I think that's huge, man. I'm gonna actually check that out too because I think being able to understand what people need,
Mm-hmm.
from a communication style, I think is just it's super super powerful, man. And these are like foundational pieces that I feel like they give you the results that you've had, but it's because you've been able to learn and make changes to help grow your business, but also the people around you, which I think is really really huge. Sometimes we just have to get out of our own way, you know
Mm-hmm.
and it's not easy, but I want to get into now, before we hop off. I want to end with your nutrition store and what you do for people and how they can find you, reach you, and come see you. But before that, let's talk about health and fitness. I mean, I don't know the stats perfectly, but I want to say it's like 65% of people are overweight. I'm just kind of making up a number, but I think that's pretty close. What is the biggest issue that you see with health and fitness in our country, in our communities? Like, what are some of the biggest challenges? And then how do you help people kind of get better energy and increase their health?
Right. Yeah. So, thank you for all that. And I appreciate, shout out here. But, the biggest thing too, like 73% of America is overweight.
Wow.
And it's because of the sedentary lifestyle, and it's also like, you look at some, and a lot of people follow a lot of celebrities, like that's like be comfortable, body positivity, da da da. Get that, you know what I mean? That's cool, but like let's put you on a damn scale and let's check your visceral fat. You know what I mean?
Mm,
See how healthy your heart is. Let's see how much fat that surrounds your liver, kidneys, lungs, bladder, right? Put those celebrities on the damn scales and do that right here,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
And they're talking about all this and they're out there promoting, you know shit that they're promoting, like you're killing people literally because of the way that you're living, and people think that that's okay now. And it's because of like, oh, my mental health and self-esteem and all this. I get that too. I've been there. I've been
Right.
where I've been suicidal. I've been parts where I've had fucked up shit happen to me too.
Right. Right.
Just like everybody else, welcome to the club. That's what I say whenever people walk into my doors here, like, welcome to the club. Like, but I always remember, like, life could be worse, right?
Yes.
And the thing is too, like, you're constantly working yourself. So my mission and my vision is to make the world a healthier and happier place, by bringing not just great nutrition to them, but also like you're gonna get my energy. You're gonna feed off of that. Like I'm a light that's gonna light your torch, and you're gonna carry that onto your husband. It's gonna carry it onto your wife. You're gonna carry it onto your community. You're gonna carry it onto when you go into work, because people, it's like the Groundhog Day. The Groundhog Day. They wake up,
Yep.
do the day in, day out, day in, day
Same
out.
thing.
But when you come see me, I'm gonna put a smile on your face. I'm gonna give you a hug. Maybe give you awesome tea that's gonna
Yep.
gives you energy, and put great nutrition in your body. Because nowadays out there, it's all about these fast foods, and it's all about this crazy stuff out there that people are consuming, right? Which is making you fat, which is making you lazy, and it's just ruining our health.
Right.
So my biggest thing there is, just helping out people, and I get pretty like why, and the reason why I got into this. So my mom, I talked about my mom a lot, right? But she had a bad report from the doctor, and her cholesterol was super high, and not making any claims. I don't cure anything or prevent anything, whatever. But my mom's cholesterol is really, really high. And her mom passed away when she was 65 years old. And my mom at the time, she was 54 years old with high cholesterol. And she was not that overweight, but I'm like, hell, if I'm going to lose my mom at that age, like I want my mom around for a long time. Right.
Yeah.
And and when I found what I found with eating healthy and working out, and just being a role model for my parents as well. And I said, Mom, come check this out, and holding her accountable. My mom was 27 pounds, guys. Right now she's 68 years old. She's healthier than
Oh,
she's ever been in her whole entire life. And like I can get emotional because for that too, because I didn't come in for the money. I
right.
came to help my mom. And then when my mom started feeling good, and when she started feeling energy, she had more confidence. She started fitting in her clothes. She started doing that. I'm like, there's nothing better than that, right?
Absolutely.
Nothing better than see your mom come back to life again. And I said, how many more people can I help like this? So
Absolutely.
that's what I do.
That's awesome, man. That's powerful. That's powerful, brother. And like you said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, is if you don't have your health, you can have $100 million in the bank account. But if you're in a hospital bed or you're sedentary and you can't move and you're overweight and you can't breathe and you're out of breath walking up a flight of stairs, I mean, honestly, man, that money, it just doesn't really mean a whole lot. It really, really, really doesn't. And I think um, that's the real pandemic that we're in, right? Is the health crisis,
Mhm.
and people, like you said, following false narratives with celebrities and bad ideas, because nowadays with internet it's awesome, but there's a lot of bad messages, bad information, and it's scary because a lot of people are very vulnerable, to kind of follow these things because they think it's going to be good. But like you said, 73% of people are overweight, mainly because of a sedentary lifestyle, and probably because a lot of bad information as well, and so I think it's powerful what you're doing. Let's close it out with your nutrition shop. What's it called? Where is it at? How can people find you? And then we'll kind of finish it out from there.
Okay, yeah, so appreciate that. So it's called the Spot Nutrition. We're at 1301 Wa. So it's right by, there's a UPS store across the street. It's Montrose, River Oaks area.
Nice.
And what we do is we help people get healthy. We have amazing meal replacement smoothies. And then we have these awesome energy teas. You guys will see me drinking these like, 2 times a day, 3 times, but awesome energy. And then we put people on the scale. We not only just give you great nutrition, but we also track it. So we track your nutrition,
Awesome.
track things like that. So we also do challenges because I love accountability. I think accountability is great, and getting a part of something to help you get better. And the biggest thing here is we're here to educate you on your nutrition, your fitness, your lifestyle, and then mentality, right? So we talk about 80% of the way you look is nutrition, 20% fitness with 100% mindset. And that's what
Ooh, yeah. That's huge, man. I love it. That's a whole holistic approach to increasing someone's health and well-being, and that's powerful, brother. Well, listen, Enrique, I appreciate your time, man. This was awesome, awesome stuff. And by the way, I want to come. When you said the address, I don't think I'm very far from you, so I'm gonna come check you out soon, next week. Seriously, next week, man, 'cause I'm right down the road. And but this was just really, really awesome, man. A lot of good information. I really appreciate it. And hope you have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, brother. Bye.
All right.